Namaste. Thank you for being here. And tell you that this class truly is a dream come true for me. Okay, for 30 years I've been doing this, and it's been a dream of mine to be able to offer this to people who are interested all over the world. The fact that you are here participating with me is such an honor to me that it's making me verklempt, so I'll stop talking. But no, I don't care if they understand parts, as long as I feel that they're feeling more peaceful, feeling more calm, feeling more compassionate to themselves first. I feel we're making progress. Does that make sense?
I think so,
Is it appropriate for me to work with each individually and also see them as a couple? Your thoughts? I see couples individually and together. And the reason I do that is I tell them what I'm helping them do individually is to work with their parts so they can be more self-led when they're back in session together. So I won't work with just one and not the other, because then they'll feel like I'm taking sides, but I will offer them their own time to do that. When you're working with so much pursuing distance or perceptions and things like that, sometimes there's some paradoxical interventions you can do, which basically says, just tell them to keep doing it. You know, you can point out to them that when she does this, you do that, and she does that, and go right ahead and do it. You know, you go, guys. How's it working for you? You want to keep doing it, keep doing it. You can pay me to watch you do it. I won't keep you very long. Or are you willing to learn a new way to communicate? And then I slow it down, and then it gets us into the miracle of empathy, that them have a conversation about everything, but talk about their exiled parts with I messages instead of you messages and their walls up. Sometimes I do psychodrama with them. And what that means is I will actually get up from my chair, and I have exiles on this side of the room, managers here, and extreme parts here, and I go stand them up in their extreme parts, and then I move them into, you're getting extreme like that because you're really trying to manage by being reasonable and caretaking, but underneath you really feel sad. Is that right? And meanwhile, for what they're trying to do, but try to help them be more self-led. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Sometimes.
So Linda, you made mention that you don't always use the word parts when you're working with an individual or a couple. What are some other words or synonyms that you do use to make it potentially more palatable?
Feelings. How do you feel?
Okay.
What do you do? What do you do? What do you think? You know, it's kind of like, what's your behavior? What's your thought? Even when I was doing the meditation, I said, go into your body, notice where you have tension and tightness, notice your thoughts, notice your feelings. Those are all part. In the first session, I will come back to it when I have the content merits the process to stop and do some IFS work. Okay, so if they want to talk about their children and they're both enough in self, we'll just keep going at it. But if I hear a part come up, because I'm a part detector, you're a part detector, if I hear the part come up, I will either work with the part with the partner in the room, or I'll ask the partner to leave and I'll help them direct access their part, calm it down, be more in self, give the partner equal time if they need it, put them back together. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Are there other synonyms you use to the phrase move into self?
Yes.
Or go into self? Are there other synonyms?
Thank you.
Because I find, especially working with pastors, which is my primary group, that can sound to them like, it can sound kind of,
sound kind of
off. To them, it can sound new age, spiritual.
Yeah. That's why when I talk to them, usually in the first session, and I'll ask them about their spiritual leanings, I get from them, and well, I don't go to church very, I said, I'm really not talking about religion. You know, do you believe that there is something outside of yourself If they say they believe in God, I usually say, where is God? All around. But I don't stop until they put God in here.
Sure.
And I said, well, that's what self is. Self is when you're connected to God, connected to your higher power, connected to your true self. And yes, new agey woo-woo spirituality, my whole family thinks I'm nuts, but that doesn't stop me.
I'm not opposed to that by any stretch. But my primary clientele come from the faith tradition of Christianity.
Great.
And honestly, some Christians can be a bit legalistic when it comes to some of those kinds of terms.
Good. Then check with them and see what word works for them.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, for some people, they don't believe in God, they don't believe in a higher power, but they feel calm in nature. Mm-hmm. Great. So go to a place where you feel calm. Have them pick a place, visualize the place, put a frame around the picture, move the color through, and they bring it in that way. So there's a lot of different ways. Checking there. Yes.
The meditation, that was really amazing. This has been very helpful. Thank you.
I'm so glad, Leslie.
As soon as you said to start heading up the mountain, I instantly felt guilty for leaving them behind. And then it was like instantaneous, it split off, and I realized it wasn't me feeling guilty, it was my guilt tripper trying to make me feel guilty. And I went anyway, and I think what I needed to do was to attend to her for just a minute and then go, because when I looked back, she was standing there with her arms folded, just glaring at me. And I thought, oh, I already messed it up.
Great.
So really
thanks for mentioning that. A couple things. There is no way to do it wrong. So a lot of clients won't find themselves that they can't separate. And it's like, what part can't you separate from is the part we need to deal with right away. When I was going through the meditation, in my head, I was thinking, I'm not covering enough parts. Do the initial interview. When you've got that intake interview in front of you and you've seen what parts they have, what parts their partner has. When you're doing the meditation, it is structured around that person. So you know if they're an initiator to a divorce, for instance, they feel guilty and they have to, have that step back. Yes. So you make sure that you name as many parts as possible. And when you're done and they say to you, I couldn't do that because my guilty part was just doing this, you say, fantastic. What does your guilty part want us to know?
Yeah. And it rapid fired. It went from guilt instantly to criticism for me going up the mountain, and then resentment. And it was just so quick. And I can see how when I'm working with clients, they experience the same thing. And they say, oh, I don't know where this is coming from. Oh, I don't know why this is coming up right now. I just got this flash of something. And that to me is what's amazing about the parts, is that they just throw the stuff in there at just the right time. So it makes perfect sense. So that was really helpful.
Good. And when we do the miracle of empathy next time, and when your clients do the miracle of empathy, they will build on what they just did to get to self, because they're going to recognize their parts are going to want to intercede for them, which is an empathy. Okay. So we'll talk more about that next week. It's kind of like, how do you really keep coming back to that calm, compassionate place inside of you and do the work from there? Yes, Lauren.
How long are your first sessions?
An hour.
Like an hour? And in the outline, do you have like approximate suggested length of time for each aspect of the session? Like how much time to spend on those interviews? Like you said, like like the meditation is X number of minutes, and the, each client, each person.
I'll give you that. So I'm looking at an hour. We'll talk a couple. Okay, a couple comes in, don't know why they're coming in. Talk to them alone talk to them together 2 or 3 minutes. Just chit chat. Ask who wants to talk first. And if I talk to somebody on the phone, they talk second. The other one goes out in my office. That interview template takes me 10 or 15 minutes. And the reason I want to role play it for you is because I'm very directive in a very compassionate way. So instead of opening the door to get a story, I ask a question to listen for a part. I go to another question and I fill out my little mental image of who are all the parts involved here. So that'll take maybe 5 minutes 10 or 15 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes. So that's 35 minutes, let's say, right? Get them back in my office together and do my blurb where I show them how their parts work with each other's parts, etc. Get them all psyched up and nervous and anxious because we've just covered everything that they didn't know they were going to cover. And then I do the meditation within 50 minutes, maybe. Sometimes it goes faster. And then they walk out with some hope that they may actually learn how to communicate in a way that they didn't know when they came in.
Yeah. No, that'll be great. I think the demonstration will be helpful because that being directive makes sense. Like
Yeah.
they have their stories. Like you could give them 5 hours and they could go on a
Yeah.
story. And
Yeah.
so how you are directive in that way to keep it.
A different way of working with an individual than a couple, but not really, because you're still doing the same blurb and the same, you're just representing their partner's point of view based on what they told you about what their partner doesn't like about them, right? You already asked the question, what do you do that upsets your partner? Well, he would have told me that, or she would have told me that. So I just help them navigate that. So all right, I'll put it out there. My goal is that we take this wherever we're using it and just spread it around the world. That's my goal. So that whenever there's an issue that resolves conflict, people know these skills and can just pick them up and use them. And that they kind of find people that are trained in this, which I hope to be a referral source for people that are trained in it. And there's going to be a certification process this year so that I can refer to people that actually know this process, and you can take that. Because so I'm looking to pass this on to you guys and teach you everything I know. Well, thank you. I will see you, and put anything you want in the group. We've got a great group to build on and build community with. So namaste. The light in me sees the light in all of you. Bless you. Thank you.